Good afternoon, all of you. Welcome. Welcome to the end of the world. We'll be discussing the conflict zones, the regions, and the reasons for them. Why conflicts are happening, which places they are happening. So you have a fair bit of idea where all conflicts are going on. Yes, tell me. ठीक है, वेस्ट एशिया, इसराइल वहीं पे है ना, अलग कहाँ है? अफ्रीका वेयर? Sahel, okay, entire Sahel region. Yes, Sudan is there, Congo is there, Ethiopia is there, Somalia, yes, of course. So Africa and West Asia and Pacific as in? Dispute is there. That's an area of potential conflict. अभी लड़ाई शुरू हुई नहीं है. We'll see that. At the end, I'll give you, we'll discuss those regions जहाँ wars may occur in near future. Battle may emerge. ठीक है? Potential zones जो हैं, we'll see that. And other than this, East Europe as in Russia, Ukraine. Russia, Ukraine war is there. West Asia is there. Africa is there. Sahel region being a part of it, and South China Sea and East China Sea. Cuba, again, these are potential areas. Let us first try to understand where all conflicts are happening. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Myanmar, then, so nearby vicinity it is mostly Pakistan, Afghanistan and Myanmar. Then West Asia, a bit far away is Europe, Eastern Europe part, Russia. Then you have conflicts in Africa. Then you have a frozen conflict, Armenia, Azerbaijan. Although for now the fighting has stopped, but some ruptures keep on happening. That's why it is called frozen conflict, Armenia, Azerbaijan. Then something related to Thailand, Cambodia. That's also there. Taiwan issue is always there. Taiwan issue is always there. Greenland has is also it's almost covered with ice, but the heat is rising there. Okay, then we'll see Venezuela also, why and what has happened, and what American administration calls as the axis of socialism. So potential zones where further conflict can happen in that vicinity near the Panama Canal. So all these things we'll see. As I said, for your prelims perspective, you need to know the places, the surrounding areas, the vicinity of the conflicts, where exactly it is happening, which neighboring countries it has, which important strait or water body is there, which important SLOCs, the sea lines of communication and all. This all we need to know here. And few things related to the region. Not all regions we will go into. If I start discussing Russia, Ukraine, it will take one class. So geographically, the regional wise, the location wise important region we'll see here. Okay, which may come in your prelims. That is what brings us here today. Now let us start with the conflict zones. So see, 7 of them have been highlighted here, but trust me, the conflicts are more. Conflicts are more than what is depicted in this picture, like Sahel and coastal Sudan, Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Yemen, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Haiti, all of them are still boiling. अभी भी इन जगहों पे लड़ाई चल रही है. Other than that, there are other regions. I'll start with the first one, the first of the main wars that you have seen. अभी जो current चल रहा है, which one? It started somewhere in February 2022. The Russia-Ukraine war. Now, before seeing the regions, what are the locations are, what is the reason why this war has started? You all know about that. Ukraine wants NATO membership. But Ukraine for the first time applied for NATO membership was in 2008. Why the war started in February 2024? What took Russia so long? from 2008 to 2024 is a considerable time, more than 10 years. So what took them so long? So yes, this is one reason, the expansion of NATO. Russia does not want Ukraine to be a part of NATO. Why? Why? Some of you have attended the classes earlier. तुम लोग तो बता दो. NATO troops at the border. Yes, so every big country wants to sanitize its neighbor, or at least have a veto. India does not like when China goes to Nepal, Bhutan and Sri Lanka. So every big regional power wants a veto on the neighborhood or a sanitized neighborhood. Sanitized neighborhood, you understand? That something against me will not be cooking on this territory. From this territory, मेरे against कुछ नहीं होगा. So Russia fears that if Ukraine joins NATO, it will lose access to, now let us come to the geography here. So first of all, we have seen one reason, that it's membership of NATO, which Russia objects to. And Russia has demanded legal guarantee on this, that Ukraine will not be a member of NATO. Now the Western countries say, the NATO says, that it cannot do anything against the choices of independent countries if they want to join. So if West has a choice, Russia also has a choice. Okay, this is one reason. Then historically, if you see, so Russia has always been a part of the European order. For the last 500 years, that's how the case has been. Which were the major European powers? 15th to 16th century onwards, still current, 21st century. British, French, Dutch, not for all, for 500, 600 years. Portuguese, Ottoman Turks, Prussia. Prussia matlab Austria-Hungary sab aa gaya na? You have studied world history. So Russia was always a part of European order. Whatever was happening in Europe, Russia had a role to play, good or bad, including all the wars. You know, the Second World War. If not for Soviet, we would be studying a different history. So they had a major role to play in shaping or destructing the European order. The Bolshevik Revolution 1917, you all know about this? That puts Russia at odds with rest of the Europe. Okay, this Bolshevik Revolution of 1917, first time the teachings of Karl Marx were put to practical use. So it puts Russia at odds with rest of the Europe. Now during Second World War, Western countries, that जिसको आज हम लोग transatlantic बोलते हैं, they required USSR to defeat the Nazis and the fascists. And heroic contribution Soviets made in the Second World War. Okay, read the details of Battle of Stalingrad and all, you will know what I'm talking about. So they did make a heroic contribution. Of course, they turned the tide of the war together with US and also with UK. But then after the end of the Second World War, Yalta Conference happened. We'll see where is Yalta. Abhi Crimea mein hai. Crimea is a part of Russia now. Okay, so Yalta Conference happened where Roosevelt, USA, Churchill, Britain and Stalin from USSR met. And Stalin said that I have not got a fair deal. Despite contributing so much, despite so much of sacrifices, I am not getting a fair deal here. So that resentment will remain. So what started with Bolshevik Revolution, because of the necessity of Second World War, they for a brief time came together, West and Russia. Again, West is ignoring, alienating Russia, which makes them more apprehensive. So the historical reason is that Russia is trying to find its rightful place in the European order. Okay. Second, we have seen the immediate one, expansion of NATO. And third, the thing which we need to understand here is the access to important sea lanes. See, any conflict you want to understand a bit of its history and a bit of its geography. This will tell you everything about the conflict. Maps are very important. Okay, and I'll try to make sure that these images are shared with you. You get access, all of you get access to these images. How we need to figure out, because I think some of you are not enrolled student, तो portal पे डालने से सबको तो नहीं मिलेगा. So maybe in the comment section of the video or something, we'll try to do something, okay. Now, Currently you see this much. This part is which part of Ukraine? This is eastern part, shares border with Russia. This side has pro-Russia sentiments. You come to this side, this will have pro-Europe sentiments. Okay, so this phase has pro-Russia sentiment. Again, there is a history to it. Holodomor, how many of you have heard of it? Stalin engineered famine. जैसे Churchill created in West Bengal, पता है ना? Calcutta famine तो पढ़ते हो ना modern India में. So I think somewhere around 1929-30, or maybe earlier, I'm not able to recall the correct year. Holodomor is an engineered famine, man-made famine. Okay, so Stalin blocked the supplies on this side, and millions of people died. Now, when millions of people died this side, he replaced them with indigenous Russians. The idea was to change the demography. So that's why this side still has, the demography is such, it still has pro-Russia sentiments. Are we understanding it? So when the war started in the early February 2022, the first of the areas allegedly liberated by Russians were Donetsk, can you see this, and Luhansk. Okay, this is Luhansk, this is Donetsk. सबसे पहले रशिया ने जो रशियंस यूज करते हैं वर्ड liberated these to on blast or territory, you can say. Correct. And yes, Russia, Ukraine has gone for a lot of, you can say, atrocities they have committed on these people. See, this guy Zelensky is no saint. When was the last time elections happened in Ukraine? So he has assumed extraordinary powers, has extended the tenure, and has jailed the opposition, has inflicted some serious human right violation in this territory, no doubt about that. This has happened. तो पुतिन को लोग बोलते हैं जेलेंस्की की भी सच्चाई सुनो. So he has also done things which a democratically elected leader should not do in its people, just because these sides have pro-Russia sentiments, and also Russian-backed militia is here, no doubt. See, one thing leads to other. You treat them differently, of course their loyalty will lie elsewhere. Are you getting it? So this happened, and 2014, the year when the world order fastly start to change, very accelerated developments will happen. All of it was triggered by an incident. Which incident? Crimea. Annexation of Crimea. So let us see Crimea. Let us try to understand Crimea. Here Yalta, where the post-Second World War conference happened, where this Churchill, Roosevelt and Stalin met. Crimea is in southern part of Ukraine, attached to Ukraine through a narrow land strap, you can see. So Crimea is a peninsula which was given to Ukraine in the year 1953-54. See, Ukraine, USSR was actually a confederation. You understand what is confederation? Opposite of union. Union का opposite federation नहीं है. Union का opposite क्या है? Confederation. EU is a confederation. USSR was a confederation. India had ties with likes of some Central Asian countries like Tajikistan even when USSR was there. Okay, so of course Russia was the most instrumental country, the most influential country, but then other territories were also there. So the leader Stalin, I think Nikita Khrushchev did that. 1954, he gifted Crimea to Ukraine for building brotherly ties. This happened somewhere in 54-55. Now when Soviet disintegrated, Crimea decided to stay with Ukraine. 1991 I am talking about. Now, as I said, all these countries will have what? All these big countries want a sanitized neighbor. So there was a guy called Viktor Yanukovych. Viktor Yanukovych was pro-Russia Ukraine president. Are you understanding it? Viktor Yanukovych was pro-Russia Ukraine president. He rejected an FTA, free trade agreement with West European Union, and instead took, I think, $10-15 billion bailout package from Russia. the pro-Russia president of Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych, rejected an FTA with EU and took $15 billion bailout package from Russia. This is 2014 I'm talking about. Protests started in Ukraine. West will fuel that protest. Telegram will be used for propaganda. Telegram, like we use WhatsApp, most of the Russians and Ukrainians use Telegram. And you know, Telegram has this feature where the owner of the channel can remain anonymous. You guys know Telegram, come on. You all know Telegram, right? How efficiently it can be used. So, lot of news was installed, okay, made viral, and protests will start. Yanukovych will be toppled. His government will be toppled. He is now taking political asylum in Russia. So Russia lost an ally in Ukraine. Immediately Russian troops will come here. Immediately Russian troops will come here, and Russia will say this area belongs to me. Crimea belongs to me. A referendum will happen. Twice referendum will happen in the presence of Russian troops. With the presence of Russian troops, there is no question that the referendum will go here or there. So who wins? Russia wins. Now Russia says, I have won twice, fair and square. West says, you have annexed Crimea. Depends on whom you ask. A pro-Russian person will say that yes, we have won it fair and square, twice we have won it. West will say, you have manipulated it, you have done cheating, you have annexed Crimea. Are you getting it? So why Crimea is so important? See this. There is this natural harbor called Sevastopol. Okay. This natural harbor you can see. Sevastopol is here. Now this Crimea region, it opens up in Black Sea. Black Sea is connected to Mediterranean Sea through Bosphorus Channel, owned by Turkey. Turkey controls Bosphorus Channel, which is a NATO member. Turkey is a NATO member. In case Ukraine joins NATO, Russia may lose access to these SLOCs, sea lines of communication, the vital choke points. Now, once you see the Russian map, ये तो खैर यूक्रेन का map है, then north coast of Russia is frozen, northern part of Russia is frozen. Far east, Vladivostok and all, although we have started with Chennai, Vladivostok, that's also not a very friendly navigable territory. So for trade to happen, you need access to warm waters. Okay, Russia gets warm water through Crimea. In case of Ukraine joining NATO, Russia fears losing access to Crimea, to Black Sea and to Mediterranean Sea. Once Russia comes to Mediterranean Sea, the world opens up for Russia. यहाँ हो तो फिर कहीं भी चले जाओ ना. Suez Canal is there, then that side you have Gibraltar. So entire Africa, northern part of Africa, Europe is available. Then through Suez Canal and through Persian Gulf and Red Sea, they can come to the Arabian Sea and Indian Ocean. So if these routes are blocked or Russia loses access to these routes, it will lose all the trade advantage it has. Now you understand why they send troops to Crimea? And why Crimea matters to Russia? Because it provides them access to Sevastopol, Black Sea. Black Sea के बाद क्या मैंने बताया? Bosphorus Channel, owned by Turkey, controlled by Turkey. Turkey has quite some influence in this region because it controls these water bodies. Lot of influence in Black Sea and Bosphorus. So Bosphorus controlled by NATO, Black Sea, access to Black Sea also controlled by NATO. Russia does not want this. Okay? This is the main reason the war has started, apart from historical reason. And if NATO includes Ukraine, then Russia fears losing access. We understood this war? Why and how of it? Now see, currently as I'm speaking, 20% of Ukraine is occupied by Russia. I'm talking about a country which is the largest country in Europe. Ukraine is the largest country in Europe. So occupying 20% is no mean achievement. Russia is sure that in the long run, the benefits, the merits will outweigh the demerits. Whatever sanctions and all are happening. Anyway, these sanctions are not doing much damage to Russia. Why? I said that Western sanctions are not doing the intended damage to Russia. Why? What? Because the Russian oil is flowing. If not to West, then to, अब तो और पूरी दुनिया में, then to China and India, which tells us that the global economic landscape has also changed. Unless India and China join a sanction, that sanction is meaningless. Okay? Unless India and China join any economic sanction, you will not be able to exercise influence. That sanction will remain meaningless. Are you getting it? This is India's exercising it. What? The two words we often hear: strategic autonomy. Purchasing Russian oil, purchasing Russian weaponry. Likes of Harshvir Shringla, our foreign secretary, former foreign secretary, he said that without Russia, our ships will not sail, our planes will not fly. Okay? So this is the reason, and all this is controlled by Russia as of now. The maroon part. Now, how long will this go? No one knows. In fact, we may see some offenses happening, because the world is concentrated more on some other conflict. It started in February 2022, 2026, 4 years still counting. Okay, na 4 saal. 20% of Ukraine controlled by Russia. And Ukraine remains the greatest reason, the greatest catastrophic reason of 21st century, this country. How not to act during great power rivalry. Okay. There is a very important lesson in IR, although it is not important for your prelims, but please remember that great powers do not fight each other directly, they fight through their proxies. USA versus USSR never happened. USA versus Russia still not happened. So great powers fight through their proxies. They avoid direct conflicts. So Ukraine is a textbook example. It should be taught to future generation of IR students how not to behave during great power rivalry. बड़ों की बात में बच्चों को नहीं बोलना चाहिए. सुने हो कभी ऐसा? You guys have heard these lines? I thought you were fragile generation to be taken care of. Okay, fine, maybe you are the last one. Okay, so that's what has happened. How not to behave. Okay, because the West actually perpetuated this. उसको बोल दिया कि you go, we are with you, you can join, but it has still not joined. It has still not joined, and the damage is happening. Now it has lost 20% of its territory. Lot of men have been killed. Lot of people have been displaced. And now Donald Trump says, give me your resources because we have paid you millions of dollars. So lost territory, lost people, losing resources, all for a lost war. Greatest catastrophe of 21st century this country is. How not to behave during great power rivalry. Done with this. Now Russia may plan a major offensive of late, because the world is more focused on something else. कहाँ पे world focused है? West Asia, right? Let us see those conflicts. Before that, you will remember these things: Sevastopol, Yalta, Crimea, how it is connected, the sea lines of communication, Black Sea, Bosphorus Channel, Mediterranean Sea. That is it. Now Baltic Sea. Baltic Sea has become NATO Sea. Why? Because Russia feared that Ukraine will join NATO, instead 31st and 32nd member of NATO. Which two countries I am talking about? Finland and Sweden. So of course NATO has come to the Russian border. Finland shares almost 1600 kilometers long border with Russia. Finland is the 31st member, NATO is the 32nd member of, Sweden is the 32nd member of NATO. Now Baltic Sea has become NATO Sea. Okay. And the next flashpoint, I am telling you, अगली लड़ाई कहाँ होने वाली है. We will see some regions. Here, Kaliningrad, Remember this place. Now why we will see it in details. यहाँ पर क्यों लड़ाई होगी? We will see in details. This is a Russian territory. Someone has imposed blockage with someone. Okay, we'll see it. Just remember this place and why this Baltic Sea is called NATO Sea, because even it is surrounded by NATO countries now. It will give Russia will not be able to plan major offensive initially if a war happens from this side. The two NATO members, recent members, 31st is Finland, 32nd is Sweden, and that is what makes Baltic Sea the NATO Sea. And potential conflict happening from here, next potential big conflict from this region, Kaliningrad, Russian territory it is. We'll see the details in a while. Any question regarding Russia-Ukraine conflict? Please let me know. Nothing much, these are mere facts, right? Next one. Good image, right? Photo thoda aur acha laga deta iska. He looks quite smart, so should not be that way. Shahbaz Sharif ki picture lagani chahiye. So Pakistan versus Afghanistan is happening. Now why this is happening? Abhi recent kya hua, you all know. What Pakistan has done? Batao. It has bombed a hospital, a drug rehabilitation facility, killing how many people? Now the history of this region, very quickly we will discuss. History of this region, Pakistan versus Afghanistan. So Afghanistan, have you heard this term, Great Game? Great Game refers to the geopolitical posturing by two great powers in 19th, 20th century. Which two great powers? Yes. USSR mat bolo, Tsarist Russia. Tsar, Romanov dynasty. Okay, so Tsarist Russia and Imperial Britain. They both wanted access to Afghanistan. Why? Russia knew if we control Afghanistan, British India is just a stone throw away distance from us. We can intrude into India. See, imperial powers were ambitious, territorial expansionist powers, right? All of them were same. Whether it was Tsar, whether it was Imperial Britain. Britain wanted to protect what they called the jewel in the crown of the empire, India. So they knew, because once Russia comes to Afghanistan, they can easily come to India. Pakistan was a part of British India, right? So they never wanted, Britishers never wanted Russians to come to Afghanistan. So both of them will plot against each other. In Afghanistan, it will become a battleground for what is called Great Game. Indirect war, espionages, this all offensives will be planned, psyops will be done. So this kept on happening. Now, colonialism will recede. Post Second World War, colonies, the imperial masters will be forced to go back to their home. So Britishers will withdraw from the subcontinent. And even before that, Afghanistan will become a free country. Anglo-Afghan war padhte ho na, modern India mein. So they will become a free country somewhere around 1920-21, Afghanistan. USSR will be still active there. There will be Soviet-backed monarchs will be there. Soviet-backed monarchs will mostly rule Afghanistan. Communist party will be very active in Afghanistan. They will have a communist party. Okay, but then frictions will emerge between these powers. And when this fellow, Najibullah, he was backed by USSR, he will be killed. He will be killed by the Taliban. Now when Taliban comes, Taliban will take advantage of the crisis that is happening. Taliban will take advantage of the crisis. 1979, USSR will attack Afghanistan because they will lose their puppet. Now the moment USSR invades Afghanistan, USA will try to follow what it calls containment policy. What is containment policy? So these are Cold War doctrines: Brezhnev doctrine, Truman doctrine, containment policy, Carter doctrine. Brezhnev doctrine is Soviet attempt to proliferate Marxism and socialism. Containment policy is American policy to contain Brezhnev. Then we will not allow proliferation of socialist Marxist ideas. But as I said, great powers do not fight directly, they fight through their proxies. So USA will not take on USSR, USA will start creating militias. Which militias? Yes, Taliban will emerge from that chaos that will happen. So on one hand, you have Soviet, the great power. On the other hand, the resistance to Soviet is fueled by the USA. Now Taliban will emerge out of this, totally backed by USA. Now the war will go on for more than 10 years, 79 to 1990. 1990 USSR will withdraw, but Taliban will remain. Taliban will remain there, and finally they will form the government. 3 countries will recognize Taliban: Pakistan, Saudi Arabia and USA. Because these 3 countries were instrumental in establishing Taliban. Please understand this. USA, because it wanted to check Soviets. Why Pakistan? Pakistan wanted to gain an upper hand in Afghanistan, and whatever alliance US, Saudi and Pakistan were having in those years, those times, Pakistan wanted it to use against India. So some of it will be diverted to India, Jammu and Kashmir, fueling terrorism, Pakistan's state-sponsored terrorism. So Pakistan was making a lot of merry in that situation. So 3 countries will recognize Taliban. Are we understanding it? India will maintain safe distance, although Taliban will reach out to India. Even the first Taliban government will reach out to India. Their foreign minister will travel to Delhi, much to the disliking of Pakistan. Now, amidst all these developments, attack on World Trade Center will happen. By which organization? Osama was the individual. Al-Qaeda. How are Al-Qaeda and Taliban related? Al-Qaeda was hosted by Taliban in Afghanistan. Okay. They were hosted. Yes, any question? You want to write something? Al-Qaeda was hosted by Taliban in Afghanistan. Now, USA will ask Taliban to give Osama bin Laden, Mullah Umar and Al-Zawahiri, the top 3 leaders of Al-Qaeda. Because Taliban was legitimized by 3 countries, the names we know. One of these 3 countries is asking for the culprit. Taliban says no. I'm not giving it to you. They are my guest and we are same. Sister concern. Taliban and Al-Qaeda. So US will plan the Operation Endurika Freedom, War Against Terror, 2001. And this Endurika Freedom will last till 2021. 20 years. Now when the last NATO troops will withdraw, Taliban 2.0 will re-emerge in less than a month. Okay, Taliban 2.0 will re-emerge in less than a month in the year 2021 itself, which is a question mark on what US and NATO did there for 20 years. So why, when Pakistan was having good ties, then why now these conflicts are happening? So there are reasons for it. Why Pakistan and Taliban don't see eye to eye? There are reasons for it. This is Durand Line. Durand Line is the border between Pakistan and, समझ में आ गई इनकी हिस्ट्री क्या रही है, कैसे आए ये? So Durand Line is the border between, international border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Right? Afghanistan never recognized this line. Irrespective of whosoever was in power, whether Soviet-backed monarchs were there, whether communist governments were there, whether Taliban 1.0 was there, or Hamid Karzai was there. Hamid Karzai is a puppet regime installed by USA after Taliban, after this Endurika Freedom and all. Or whether Taliban 2.0, so irrespective of whoever is in power, none of them recognize the Durand Line. They see it as an artificial line which divides the Pashtun areas between the two countries. कौन ऐसा देखता है? Afghans. They viewed Durand Line as an artificial construct that divides the Pashtun areas between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Are we understanding it? Now almost 4 crore Pashtuns live in Pakistan. Pakistan is dominated in every field by Punjabis. हर जगह पंजाबीज ही हैं. इंडिया बोलने वाले, रा बोलने वाले. Okay, whether they are military, they are civil services, they are cricket you see mostly, any major their music industry जो भी है थोड़ा बहुत. Okay, so mostly dominated by Punjabis. Pashtuns, Baloch are treated mostly as second-class citizen. Today, Pashtuns and Pakistani government are like Pakistani government and Bengalis before 1971. You know what happened after that. A new country was born. So Pashtun nationalism is peaking in Pakistan. Imran Khan is a Pashtun. Can you see how he was treated by Pakistan? Their former president handcuffed, blindfolded, then a bucket was put on his head as if he's a joker. So Pashtuns on both sides are not liking it. And this was one reason why Pakistan fueled Taliban initially. Pakistan wanted to subside the Pashtun nationalism and more of Taliban should come. Taliban, based on religious identity, will engulf the ethnic Baloch identity. Are you understanding this thing? So not Baloch, Pashtuns. The ethnic Pashtun identity will be subsumed by the religious Taliban identity. This was the Pakistan game plan. But today, Pakistan actually also played a double game. It was dealing with USA and was also dealing with Taliban simultaneously. So there are Talibanese top leaders like Mullah Zaif who have been imprisoned in Guantanamo Bay. Heard of this cell? The infamous one, where massive human rights violations happened. Mostly Afghans and Iraqis were kept there, prisoners of war. So Mullah Zaif was one of the top 5 leaders of Taliban. He came out, he wrote a book, My Days with Taliban. From there I quote, he writes that Pakistan is a dhokebaj. Me and my comrades are in jail because Pakistan tipped the Americans. So Taliban has no love lost for Pakistan. Taliban sees Pakistan as someone who has double-crossed them. Initially helped them, now dealing with USA. And now a situation is building up on this side of the territory, on this Durand line. So that is why we will see more such things happening in future. Taliban wants to storm in, okay. They want to unite the Pashtun areas from both sides. And of late they have grudge against Pakistan because they view Pakistan as someone who has helped USA while this Indurika freedom was going on against the interest of Taliban. That's the main reason why this war is happening. And just remember, ye kahan par hai, kaise hai, these all places you need to know, Torkham and all. Anyways, this will be shared with you. Now, see one more image we have here. The tribal areas and the adjacent area to Durand line. Adjacent area to Durand line, you need to remember which all parts are there. Okay? That's all about this conflict. So Russia, Ukraine we have done, Afghanistan, Pakistan we have done. Now, what are India's option? ये सब prelims की चीजें नहीं हैं. So let us not go there. Just remember the place, adjacent areas, and remember Afghanistan is a landlocked country. But Pakistan has access to Arabian Sea. Got it? Now the next conflict, the West Asian conflict. What all is happening here? What are the main conflicts going on in West Asia? Main conflicts in this region: Israel-Iran, Israel-Palestine, Israel-Lebanon, Israel-Yemen. Actually, it's Houthis. Then Saudi versus Yemen because of again Houthis, and Houthis because of Iran. Syria is another issue here. So let us try to understand this region, and we'll cut the long story short. See this, the important sea lines of communication, the vital choke points in this region. You all know what it is. Hormuz. Hormuz connects Gulf of Oman to Persian Gulf. 20% of world oil is transported through this route. Okay. This is Bab el-Mandeb. Bab el-Mandeb connects Gulf of Aden to Red Sea. Red Sea has two openings. This is Suez Canal, this is Gulf of Aqaba. 12 to 15% of world trade happens through this region. Suez Canal connects to Mediterranean Sea. So these two are called, again, important SLOC, three of them, 1, 2 and 3, Suez Canal, Bab el-Mandeb and Hormuz. Now, since the war has been, now it is accelerated and a lot of things are going on, Iran is being targeted. Iran is targeting Americans and Israelis. Not only Americans, the American bases in the Arab countries. So why this war with Arabs? And why Iran को इतना threat क्यों माना गया है? So again, listen carefully for 2-3 minutes. The current Iran that you see emerged in 1979 after the Islamic Revolution. Ruhollah Ayatollah Khomeini. He is the one who ushered in the Islamic Revolution in 1979. Before that, Iran was an American ally. A gas line from Iran to Israel used to go. अभी भी वो gas line है, but अब उसमें gas नहीं है. Okay, so Iran was an American and an Israeli ally. But then Islamic Revolution happened, and under Ayatollah Khomeini, overnight Iran became American enemy. Are we getting it? Now Iran is a Shia majority country. Two main factions of Islam, Sunnis and Shias. Sunnis are 89%. Shias are 8 to 9%, remaining 1 to 2% others हैं, Ahmadiyas and Bohras and so on and so forth. So Shia majority countries are like Iran, Iraq, Yemen, Azerbaijan, Baki, all other countries. Arabs are Sunni. So they have their own issues with each other. Religious, intra-religious conflict है ये. And even more than that, even if this is Iran, this is Saudi. This is Saudi, this is Iran. Okay, this is Iran, this is Saudi. More than that, even if both of them belong to the same faction, still they would be at war, is what I believe, because of Persian Gulf. The control of Persian Gulf is also there. So religious, inter-religious region is there, geopolitical region is there, and then the aspiration to be the head of the Islamic world. Okay. Now, USA has two important allies in this region. One is Israel, the other one is Saudi Arabia. Quincy Agreement happened in 1945 between US and Saudi, where US assured them security in return for the Saudi oil. See, Saudi is a unique country. It's the only country named after a family, the Al Sauds, the royal family of Saudi Arabia. So they pledged their allegiance to USA in return for security, oil ke liye. So Saudi becomes an American ally, Israel is always an ally. Now all the Arab countries that you see here, in IR we use a term vassal state or client state or satellite state. All of them are vassal, client or satellite of USA. उनकी सारी US के इर्द गिर्द ही उनका ऑर्बिट है. The way satellite revolves around a planet, satellite states revolve around the main country. Arabs are satellite state of USA. Israel is a satellite or a client state of USA. American interests are deeply ingrained there. Carter Doctrine, 1980. President Jimmy Carter of USA, he said that anything west of Persian Gulf is American sphere of influence, and any intrusion by a external power will be treated as an act of aggression. Which means this is American sphere of influence. Are we understanding it? Now Iran here acts as an irritant. Iran acts as an irritant because Iran is not an US ally, it's an US enemy. And Iran is facing crippling sanctions. Ever since its inception, it is facing a lot of sanctions. Most of its oil is only brought by China at dirt cheap price. Arabs are American allies. They are doing very well. Petrodollars. You see Dubai, अभी नहीं, लड़ाई के पहले वाला. Okay, Qatar, Doha. So all these places are like beautiful cities. They have modern state-of-art infrastructure is there. You name it, you got it. Just like any major Western city or American city. Why? Because America is helping them. Iranians are not being helped. Iranians are being sanctioned. So Iran wants to assert itself in the region. How do they do that? So Iran creates its own axis of resistance. Remember this term? Axis of resistance. Okay, let us quickly see this. Some terms we'll know. What is Iran's axis of resistance? It has built certain militias here. Hamas is funded by Iran. I won't say created, but funded. Hezbollah is created by Iran. Houthis are held by Iran. Islamic Jihad, West Bank, helped and funded by Iran. Syrian armed forces, this Iraqi mobilization forces, all of them are funded and nurtured by Iran. So Iran very carefully used to keep the conflict away from its border by funding this Islamic militia. Okay, and always kept its adversaries, the Arabs and Israelis, busy with these proxies. So Houthis will be attacking Saudi Arabia. Houthis कर रहे थे ना, अभी नहीं कर रहे, अभी तो इजराइल पे अटैक किया. The moment Saudi enters this war, Houthis will open a front against Saudi. That is the reason Saudi has not joined the war against Iran. See how massive pressure Iran has built against them. The moment you join this airstrikes, here comes Houthis through the Red Sea. Red Sea will also be blocked. दोनों block. देखो क्या होगा फिर. Same situation what was there in Karol Bagh few days back. No water, no gas, no electricity. So most of the Europe will become like Karol Bagh if both these vital choke points are closed. Okay. So that is what Iran does. It engages into what is called asymmetric warfare. Fighting through the proxies, not directly waging a war. Now for the first time, Iran was directly attacked June 2025, last year. Israel following what it calls its octopus doctrine. Axis of resistance समझ में आया? कौन-कौन है इसमें? Hamas, Hezbollah, Ansar Allah या Houthis. Official name is Ansar Allah. Islamic Jihad in West Bank, Syrian armed forces, Popular Mobilization Forces. 6 of the militias funded and nurtured by Iran. One of them created, Hezbollah was created by Iran. 1980s, early 1980s. Now, Israel responded through what it calls octopus doctrine. Naftali Bennett, former Prime Minister, he was PM from 21 to 22 when Netanyahu was not there. So what Naftali Bennett said, that we are fighting the tentacles of the octopus. We are fighting the tentacles, you understand? What? Legs. The head of the octopus is comfortably sitting. Head is Iran. So now they have stuck the head. Ab head पर direct attack हुआ है. Last year, 12-day war happened in June 2025, and this time they have taken down the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Okay, so ये octopus doctrine है Israel की, as a response to Iran's axis of resistance. Now see the places where all this has happened. So epic fury. What is this epic fury? This is American response. Okay, epic fury. One line you can write. Operation. You need to know these names also. Operation Epic Fury. Joint strike by Israel and US. February 28th, 2026. Against Iran. February 2026 against Iran to dismantle its security infrastructure. Now Iran responded with what it calls true promise. Iran's reply to epic foray is Operation True Promise. Iran retaliated with True Promise, Operation True Promise. Same 2026. Targeting American bases in Arab countries and Israel. So see all these places in Arab countries which have been targeted. America has military bases in 19 countries in this region. 19 countries, including likes of Jordan, which has not been struck right now. So all these places become a very lucrative target for Iran. Okay. Now earlier, one more line new idea. Earlier in 2025, last year June 2025, Israel started Operation Rising Lion. Know these names. Israel started Operation Rising Lion against Iran, June 2025. Iran responded with Operation True Promise. Both the times, in fact, 4 of them they have done. In 2022 also they did, but against Israel directly it did in June 2025, Operation True Promise. Now USA will enter the scene. USA, one more thing you add here, USA in 2025 started Operation Rising Lion. No, not this was Israel. Operation Midnight Hammer, you write. USA started Operation Midnight Hammer, targeting Iran, these places, Isfahan. Then here you have Natanz. These are the nuclear facilities which Iran was developing. Most of them have been earmarked here. Another image we have here. So just know the name of the places where all the strikes have happened. Isfahan, Natanz, these are Iranian nuclear facilities. In response, Iran has targeted almost all the American bases in the Arab countries, including Israel. Tel Aviv has been targeted. Okay. Just know the name of these places. Now, one more thing you should know, that it's not easy to defeat Iran here. Why? The geography. The geography is such that Iran is not a cakewalk for any invading country. It's the only country that shares border with Caspian Sea and Persian Gulf. North and South Sea, Alborz Mountains near Caspian Sea and Zagros Mountain on the southern side. So mountains make it very tough for the adversary to hit the target with precision. Now compare this with Arabs. Arabs kya hai? Desert and sea. Where can you hide there? But in mountains you can very easily hide. Okay, in mountains you can very easily hide. You cannot do the same when you have open deserts and vast sea. So for Iran, it's very easy and very lucrative to target the American bases in Arab countries. But for Israel and USA, it is not so easy until they deploy the ground troops. Now the ground troops have arrived, but these ground troops are going to have a very tough time because of the topography, the mountainous topography that is here. The way it happened in Afghanistan, the way it happened in Iraq. Okay, same thing will happen in Iran. No country is going to have a very easy sailing here because of the topography that is. Are we getting it? So know the places that have been struck, the geography of these countries, the vital sea lines of communication, and from where it all started. October 7th, 2023. What happened? Hamas attacked Israel. Why? Again, they are having their long history. It exists since 1948. Even prior to that, Hamas came in 1988. Before Hamas, there was PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, headed by Yasser Arafat. So, lot of peace deals have also happened between Arabs and Israel. Now, one thing you need to know here, this is West Bank, okay? This one is Gaza. And Gaza, you see something here, this is Egypt. Border between Gaza and Egypt is called Rafah crossing. You need to know that. Because for almost 2 years, Egypt has closed the Rafah crossing. Rafah crossing is the border between Gaza and Egypt. So on one side you have Mediterranean Sea, I'm talking about Gaza, Israel and Egypt. This is the Gaza territory. Gaza is largely governed by Hamas. Okay. Another Palestinian territory is West Bank, which is governed by another organization called Fatah. See, Fatah and Hamas have their own disputes. There is a bitter rivalry. Rivalry is that who is the real representative of Palestinian. They are not enemy, they are rivals. Enemy to inka Israel hai. So Fatah operates from West Bank. Then another organization operates from West Bank. The name is Islamic Jihad. So इनका आपस में टर्फ वॉर चलता रहता है. Okay, they have their own issues with each other, but the common enemy is Israel. Then you have Jerusalem here, the city revered by all the three Abrahamics, the Jews, the Christians and the Muslims. Why for Jews? The Temple Mount, the Wailing Wall is there. Jews' religious structure is there. Only ancient, you can say the ruin which has survived from their ancient times, built by their King David. Two glorious kings Jews had, King David and King Solomon. तो एक wall बची है उस temple की. For Christians, why it is important? Oh yes, what about Jesus? Jesus was born at Nazareth, Bethlehem, which is 2 to 3 hour drive from Jerusalem. But many biblical history legend is surrounding this city, Jerusalem. This is where he was reincarnated. The Church of Holy Sepulchre is there, where his body was kept post crucifixion. They have that stone where they show it was kept. Then the Mount of Olive is there. These all are connected to Bible. So important for Christians also. Then Al-Aqsa Mosque is there, the third holiest site for Muslims all across the world. According to Islamic belief, the Prophet Muhammad, he ascended to heaven from this place. Okay, so you know why this city is revered by all the three Abrahamics? Now this city is controlled by Israel. Al-Aqsa, the mosque's administrative control is under Jordan. Israel-Jordan treaty happened in 1994. Jordan got the administrative control of Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay. So, 2023 Hamas will attack Israel and Israel will retaliate, and retaliation will be quite disproportional, still being going on. Now, the tentacle से आगे head तक बात बढ़ गई है. As I told you, Hamas is being funded and nurtured by Iran. So now, Israel is going after Iran. So, the theater of war has increased. Understood this conflict also? Reasons, just you know where and what it is. Here you have the Dead Sea. Dead Sea is shared by both Israel and Jordan, this part. Then here you have Lebanon. Lebanon is where we have Hezbollah. Okay, north of Israel is Lebanon. So Hezbollah is again the most strongest militia in Iran's resistance, axis of resistance. Any day stronger than Hamas or Houthis. Battle hardened warriors they are. They have helped Bashar al-Assad in Syria 2-3 years back. know these places, which side Syria, which side Jordan, Rafah crossing, Mediterranean Sea, Lebanon. Okay, and this is from where Hezbollah target and Israel also targets Lebanon because of this. अभी उन्होंने नया offensive खोल दिया ना in Lebanon because of Hezbollah. Is it okay? Any question related to this particular region? Any doubt? See, all the points we cannot discuss for prelims, the why and how of it, but the locations you need to know for prelims. Fine? We can move? Okay. Now, from this place, you have another region. Syria is here. Now, why Syria is important? For two reasons. Syria was the only Arab-Russian ally as long as Bashar al-Assad was there. Russia has the Tartus base. Can you see this? This is the Russian military naval base, only Russian military or naval base outside the post-Soviet states. What do you mean by post-Soviet state? CIS. We have heard this term, Commonwealth of Independent States. किसको बोलते हैं? Countries which were part of USSR से जो अलग हुए हैं. So collectively they are called CIS, the Eastern European countries. Belarus, Ukraine for that matter, Crimea, Bulgaria, Estonia, Croatia, ये सब Central Asian countries, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, 17 of them are there. So Russia has military bases in these countries. In countries के अलावा, other than these countries, the only base it has is here, Tartus, Russian naval base in Syria. Now what happened in Syria, let us try to understand. So Syria, I told you, Shia majority countries कितनी हैं याद है? Iran, Iraq, Yemen, Azerbaijan. Where Shias are in majority, in Syria also Shias are there, but they are not in majority. But the ruler, कौन था ruler? Hafiz Assad and then his son Bashar al-Assad. Both this father-son duo ruled for decades. Not liked by, who will not like them? Arabs. Arabs will not like them. Arabs are not liking them. The masters of Arab कौन है? US will not like them. So Assad जो थे, Bashar al-Assad and his father Hafiz al-Assad, they were disliked by the Arabs and the US, the paymaster. That's actually a fact. Now this Jasmine Revolution, this question came in your prelims. कहाँ से हुआ था? Tunisia. Arab Spring or Jasmine Revolution. So a fruit vendor immolated himself because he was facing a lot of economic hardships. Now protest will start in Tunisia and the government will change. Then the protester will spread to Egypt. Hosni Mubarak removed. This Libya, Colonel Gaddafi killed. Egypt. तो ये सब होने लग जाएगा. Arab Spring will start. Now there will be protest in Syria against Assad. Assad must go. Now the Arabs will become very happy that yes, he must go. And they will try to assist the protesters. यहाँ जितने militias बनेंगे to target Syria, they will be helped by Americans and by the Arabs. I told you Assad was the only Arab country which was pro-Iran. So Assad will call his friends. Who was Assad's friend? Iran will come, and Iran will not come alone. Iran will come with Russia. Now can Arabs fight Russia? America तो लड़ता ही नहीं है. It's a great power, no doubt about that. So Arabs were watching helplessly when Russia was guarding Assad. Okay, Assad must go did not happen. Assad was saved by his friends. Now fast forward 2024-25. Hezbollah was there fighting for Assad together with Iran. Iran did not come alone. Iran came with its proxies. Russia came there. But where is Hezbollah today? Israel has killed the top leadership of Hezbollah. Hamas is in no position to come and fight for Assad. Iran itself, the top leadership, gone. So Israel has bleeded Iran and its proxies. They cannot help Assad, they cannot help Syria. Russia is fighting its own battle. So when Assad's friends are busy in their own war, regime change happens. HTS emerges there, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Okay, which is now the ruling party. The head of HTS is Al-Jolani. Now who is Al-Jolani? Quickly know about this fellow. Al-Jolani was working with ISIS. A very major commander to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi कौन है? Islamic State का founder, ISIS का founder. So he deputed Al-Jolani to Syria to fight against Assad somewhere around 2012 onwards. So Al-Jolani comes here and he starts his own startup. Al-Nusra he founded. The idea was to break away from the legacy of Islamic State. Now, as long as Assad's friends are active, as long as Iran and Russia are coming to help Assad, Jolani will keep a low profile. The moment they will get involved into their own war, last year Jolani will remove Assad. And now Jolani is the president. USA declared a 10 million bounty on his head. Today he stands next to Donald Trump in White House and both of them are happily posing for shutterbugs. So we have a new president which is a former Al-Qaeda and Islamic State member, Al-Jolani. So Russia has lost the only ally it had. Iran has lost the only ally it had. Russia may lose access to this starter space. And it can go to some length to protect this space. Remains to be seen. याद आया कौन है? Al-Baghdadi deputed whom? Al-Jolani. Al-Jolani founded what? Jabhat al-Nusra. Today that organization has become HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the ruling party, the ruling organization of Syria. Now USA has normalized its ties with Syria. Arabs have normalized their ties and soon Israel will also normalize ties with Syria. Turkey is helping Jolani. So who is losing here? The Iranians are losing. So if this fall of Assad did not happen in Syria, it was not so easy to target Iran. Okay. Fall of Assad paved the way for a very smooth invasion of Iran. Assad was instrumental in coordination between Hezbollah and Iran. Now these things are not happening. You understand this region also? Just know the name of this place and see the border of Syria from all the sides. Any issue in West Asia? इससे ज़्यादा प्री के लिए नहीं जानना है. Any issue in West Asia? GCC में 6 कंट्रीज हैं. इंडिया के साथ एक FTA साइन होने वाला है. 2 FTAs are lined up. One of course is the US one which is on the verge of completion. Second FTA is with GCC. How many countries are there? 6 countries. Can you name the 6 countries? Bahrain, Saudi, UAE, Kuwait, Qatar and Oman. These 6 countries are together called Gulf Cooperation Council. As a bloc, they are India's largest trading partner. UAE और Saudi top 5 में आते हैं इंडिया के trading partner. दोनों उसी का member हैं. If you add them, GCC becomes the largest regional trading partner of India. So an FTA will be finalized this year, depending on how things go there. War और conflict कितने और proliferate होंगे उस पर depend करेगा. Okay? Any doubt in West Asia? Anything? इतना ही जाना, इससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं जानना है. Name of the operation, name of the places, name of certain locations. किसके आसपास क्या है ये देख लेना, images में है सब कुछ. Now moving on. Know about these choke points. the world oil choke points. Just know the names here. Malacca state is here. You don't have to remember the figure, that 29% or something, but these are the major vital choke points. So Malacca state, in fact, almost 70% of ships that go to China has to take this path. Strait of Hormuz, just we have seen this side. Bab el-Mandeb, Red Sea, Hormuz, Persian Gulf. Then here you have the Cape of Good Hope, the African one. Suez Canal, this side. Here you have Danish Strait, Turkish Strait, and here you have the Panama Canal. So just know the major points, the global oil trade choke points. This is all you have. Locations are depicted in these pictures. You may not remember the number, uski koi zarurat nahi, wo nahi aane wala hai. But where they are, you need to know it. And how they have been, see, this is the crude control. How much and from where. Again, you don't have to remember the numbers, just the places. This is for West Asia. Centric to West Asia, mostly around Hormuz and the Bab el-Mandeb, that is Red Sea. See the major points. And इन सब जगहों पर attacks हुए हैं. You see these images 2-3 times, you will know it. कुछ रटने का नहीं है इसमें. Now another figure we have related to the straits, and some narration is given. I think you can read from this. Nothing for me to explain here. These are mere facts. Facts put on images. That's it. Gibraltar, another Moroccan port से है, connects to Spain and Morocco. मतलब इसको कह सकते हो अफ्रीका और यूरोप का एक मीटिंग पॉइंट है, स्टेट ऑफ जिब्राल्टर. Then Singapore Strait is here, another very important one. And then you have the Bass Strait, this is near Australia. Then this one, Malacca, the very important one. India is firmly sitting on the entry and exit of Malacca. How? 2018, India did agreements with Singapore and Indonesia. Okay, so Indian Navy is sitting on the entry and exit. In case of any conflict with China, first India needs to block this. अगर ज़्यादा लड़ाई होती है तो, of course you will require help from Indonesia and Singapore. So just remember these places: Bering Strait, Hormuz, Magellan, and the Bosphorus Strait, which we have already discussed this thing. The narrow strait which is controlled by Turkey. In fact, every power projection that Turkey does in the region is because of its geography, which gives it access to Black Sea and Bosphorus. Okay, know these spots. Now see the Sahel region. Consistently in news, in fact a question came in your PYQ 2024 में आया था ना या 23 में. There was a question in 2024 on Sahel region. Now, why this Sahel region is so important? So, see the countries. All these countries are here. This is your Sahara Desert. Another image we have. Okay, so north of it is Sahara. Sahara se south में Sahel region. Now, why this region is making news? Because conflicts are going on. What type of conflict? Mostly there are military coups happening. And then some form of armed militia is resisting the military. Okay. Important countries, just one line each you write on it. Mali. This side. Africa's third largest gold producer. Africa's third largest gold producer with good deposits of iron ore, uranium, manganese, lithium, and limestone. HDI ranking 188. HDI ranking is constructed out of 193 countries. Mali ranks 188. पीछे से top 10 में है. Despite having so much of resources. So when you have resource-rich countries with poor people, conflicts are bound to happen. Okay, conflicts are bound to happen. Next country you see Niger. This one. One line you write on Niger. 5% of global uranium. 5% of global uranium and important reserves of coal, gold, important reserves of coal, gold, oil and gypsum. HDI 189. Human Development Index पे कहाँ पे है ये? 189. Burkina Faso, this country, this place. Burkina Faso, huge deposit of zinc, lead, copper, iron, manganese, copper, iron, manganese, HDI 185. So something similar happens in all the countries. Very good amount of natural resources. HDI ranking is horrible. So what else will happen there? So you understand the reason for conflicts here? One line you can add here, change the pen and write this. The civilian governments have not been able to control the territory. That resulted in deteriorating security condition. Combined with the lack of social and economic progress. So citizens of these countries have nothing to bank upon. There is no infrastructure related to anything. Health infrastructure is missing, education infrastructure, physical infrastructure is missing. Resources have to be capitalized on. You need to have technology and the know-hows and the required skill set which can turn those resources into opportunities for you. But their governments have never done this. Massive amount of corruption is there. Okay, so that is the reason you often see some of the other militia will come and armed gang keeps floating around in these places. Then military will start asserting itself. Military and frequent military coups have happened. That's why this region, this entire Sahel region, despite having so much of resources, is often making news for the wrong reason. There is एक note में डाल लो इसको, a UN resolution 2056. Resolution number 2056 was passed for crisis in Mali. That resulted in the creation of UNISS. In 2013. to focus on 6 critical areas. Focus on 6 critical areas, namely cross-border cooperation, sustaining peace, economic revitalization, and इसी point में and sustainable growth, inclusive growth, not sustainable, inclusive growth. Economic revitalization and inclusive growth, climate action, renewable energy, and last one, women and youth empowerment. What is this UNISS? United Nations Integrated Strategy for the Sahel. So these lines can be one of your consider the following statements in prelims. Already this area has been asked, but because it is still in news, the conflicts are persisting. In fact, they have become worse. So yes, you need to know about it. This is your reality of Sahel region. Lot of things have happened, and in mains also you can get questions like, despite the resource that they have, why this region continues to be on the consistently they are ranked lower on HDI. So of course there you have to elaborate with more facts and more figures. Not going into all that right now. ठीक है, साहिल पे कोई दिक्कत नहीं किसी को. Regions, countries you need to know. सारी countries यहाँ पर mentioned हैं. All the countries are mentioned in this image. This is it. More location is given here. Now what is happening here? Haiti. Where is this country? Caribbean. वहाँ पर क्या हो गया? ये सब तो अच्छी जगह है. What is the problem in Haiti? PM is in exile, government has fallen, political gang movements have invaded the capital, controlling 80% of the capital. So see, this is the map. Okay, this is the map, and other than this, there is a graphic also, but first let us try to understand. Few lines you write, Haiti crisis, or the crisis in Haiti, what is happening here? Deplorable situation is here, and mostly it is because of, again, the developments in the past few decades. I would not say immediately it has happened, but of late one, the recent developments which are important for prelims, in 2026, right, this 2026, multiple overlapping conflicts, mostly because of political, economic and social crisis. Political, economic and social crisis. So first thing happened was it all started increasingly since January 2022. Earlier also some conflicts were happening, but since this year it increased, intensity actually increased. Okay, what happened was, and here you will have more than 16,000 people have been killed since this time period. More than 16,000 people have been killed. More than 1.5 million people have been displaced. Now it's a vicious cycle here. Okay, what is the vicious cycle? That because governance deficit is there, that is why we have an adverse law and order situation. See, you study things about Naxalism and all. अब तो हिस्ट्री में पढ़ोगे. 31st March, आज ही लास्ट डेडलाइन थी ना. And let us call it Maoism. Maoism gives it an ideological angle. Naxalism gives it an geographical angle. नक्सलबाड़ी को क्यों बदनाम करना? So Maoism you study, main reason is governance deficit. You have to understand it. That's a fact. Okay, failure of state to reach there, deliver the essentials, have given reasons to Maoist and their rank and file. बाकी पेपर 3 में पढ़ लेते हो तुम लोग, right? So what happens is, same thing, many times intensity has been multiplied in this region, in Haiti. And for consistently 30-40 years, same thing is happening. So now how do people sustain themselves? They have to look towards the alternative. Now the alternative is mostly illegal. What is the alternative? To sustain yourself in a conflict prone zone where, as Karl Marx ne kaha na, state shall wither away. So state has actually withered away here. Okay, state has actually withered away in the wordings of Karl Marx. So what happens when the state goes for a total collapse for consistence? मतलब decades से ऐसा ही हो रहा है. लोग क्या करें, कैसे जिए खाएं? So now they are engaged into arms trade. They are engaged part of drug cartel. Humanitarian वो भी है उसमें. Human cartels भी हैं इसमें. Human trafficking and all. Now one thing leading to other, it set up a vicious cycle over here. Quickly write this thing: arms trafficking, drugs, human trafficking, are widespread. Now why no government or no UN is able to check it? Some steps have to be taken to check it. If everyone knows about it, where is the solution coming? Now solution cannot come because this country is mostly dependent on imports. So criminals often come under the guise of business. वो businessman बन के आते हैं, वो agent बन के आते हैं. Actually they are criminals. Write this line: Haiti is majorly dependent on imports. Therefore, there is an extensive exchange of goods and services. Which is utilized by the criminals. And these gangs largely control the capital. Name of the capital: Port-au-Prince. Okay? Understood what the reason is? How a state collapse leads to illegal things. Now, because the economy is such, everything comes from other countries. So criminals are the one who benefit mostly out of it. Okay. So of late you will not see any, इसमें कुछ नया नहीं आने वाला है. This will remain here. the way it is. Just know the regions. All this you need to see. Now, एक इसको देख लो. So where do proceeds from criminal activities come from? So real estate lot, because even these things are coming from abroad. Then cash is mostly used. जो भी illegal काम है cash में ही होता है, check से नहीं होता है. Then you have cash transfer across the border, and lastly, you have this thing, the commercial wires transfer service. Now they have created a parallel mechanism. Okay, इनका अपना एक तरह का encrypted service है. So all the gangs are controlling it. The non-state actor, एक word है ना non-state actor, they are more. ये UN की page से है. This is what UN is telling us, and is able to do nothing, because the rank and file of these gangs are more stronger than the government. Non-state actors are more assertive than the government. So you witness a complete state collapse there. Okay. Now see the next thing. Next issue we have here. Sudan have we covered? What is the problem in Sudan? Quickly, few lines you write on Sudan. A civil war started in 2023. Civil war started in 2023. Now, the army versus, they have another militia called RSF. Army versus RSF, Rapid Support Force. So this conflict killed 1,50,000 plus people, and it displaced approximately 12 million people. Now the root of this conflict, so 1989. Omar al-Bashir, he will carry out a coup. Coup, you understand? When military kicks out the government, Musharraf, Pakistan, he did a coup. Myanmar, Tatmadaw, we have to discuss Myanmar also. Tatmadaw is the military of Myanmar. So 54 years Myanmar had a coup. Unless National League of Democracy came, 2009-10, Aung San Suu Kyi. Now they came up with a model what is called hybrid democracy. That Tatmadaw, which is the military, and the NLD, National League of Democracy, they will run a coalition government. 2021 re-elections happened where Aung San Suu Kyi and her party NLD got overwhelming majority. This made the Tatmadaw very apprehensive. They again house arrested her. तब से आज तक वो house arrest में है. Okay, and again a new party has won there which is backed by Tatmadaw. इसमें conflict कहाँ है फिर? Where is the conflict? Why is Myanmar into our conflict zone? Because EAOs have emerged there. The ethnic armed organization, the Arakan army is there. The Chin Nationalist Council is there. Mostly active on India-Myanmar and Myanmar-Bangladesh border. We'll see them. So, coup, you understand? This fellow, Omar al-Bashir, he did a coup and he became the president. Now, 2021, he will be overthrown. He will be removed in 2021. So he ruled for so many years. Okay. First it was in 2019. He will be removed in 2019 and a joint military plus civilian government will emerge. Now this joint government will also be kicked out. So first process is Umar Bashir doing coup, becoming president, until his end came in 2019. Second thing, joint military civilian government. Third thing, this joint government also removed. Okay, this joint government also removed, and finally in 2021, new government will come. Now this new government will have two main actors, two main characters will be here. One is your Abdel Fattah, General okay, he was the one who was largely controlling the military, and the second one is your RSF chief. Okay. Now they together will form the new government by overthrowing this government, joint military civilian government, the one which removed Omar al-Bashir in 2019. Now after fighting against the old government, they will fight with each other. Okay. They will now confront each other. वही अभी भी चल रहा है. So this is now playing. This is what is happening in Sudan. That's why there is a humanitarian crisis and all these things happening here. Now we have an image, you can see it. How do I move this? Okay. Any question in this Sudan crisis? Location I'll show you in a while. Yes, now coming somewhat close. Home, back home. Back home as in very close. Sidway Port. Sidway Port for which project? Kaladan project. More than 2,000 crore rupees have been invested by India. See, all the Indian projects are jinxed. INSTC started in 2000. BRI started in 2013, Chinese BRI. INSTC is now said to be an alternative to BRI. नहीं काम हो पा रहा है उस पे. Why? Because of sanctions on Iran and now on Russia. IMEC, the moment you announce it, next month Hamas attacks Israel and Israel responds, the entire region is in war. So IMEC also not happening. This Kaladan multi-model, Sidway Port, Myanmar provides India with better connectivity than Bangladesh. Land, sea and roadways, all of them are involved. Kaladan River, Bay of Bengal, and then our NH will be involved here. Okay, so all these projects have stopped. Now more than 2,000 crore India has invested here, 2,000 crore rupees. Now a situation has emerged in Myanmar where I told you the history of Myanmar, that 54 years it had a military coup. Military was ruling there. The elected government was overthrown. So India at that time was mostly following idealist foreign policy. So we maintained a distance from this military government. Tatmadaw se hamari koi khas dosti nahi thi. Tatmadaw is the military of Myanmar. Now over a period of time, Indian foreign policy discourse will switch, more doses of realism and pragmatism will be injected into it. Now situation will start evolving in Myanmar also. NLD will come, the National League for Democracy, led by Aung San Suu Kyi. I told you the story, she will win and first she will be house arrested, then Tatmadaw will realize that this can worsen the situation. So now they will run a hybrid government. Hybrid government run karti hai until she wins the election, overwhelming majority in 2021, Tatmadaw will again house arrest her. Since then, she is house arrested. But what happens is new players, the new non-state actors emerge here, Which are these new players? अभी तक क्या था? Let us quickly ramp this. There was Tatmadaw. Tatmadaw is the military. And it was targeting the NLD. National League of Democracy, headed by Aung San Suu Kyi, one person. Now they will win. How will this lady fight the mighty military? But now EAOs are emerging. Two most of important are AA. Arakan Army and Chin Nationalist Council. Now they are controlling border areas. India, Myanmar and Sitwe अब इनके पास है, मतलब they are the one largely controlling it. Bangladesh and Myanmar. So the problem for India is what to do now. Whom to engage with? बताओ. India has decided as of now, जो मतलब अभी कोई official नहीं है, but the signs are obvious. India has realized that very soon Myanmar will become a loose federation, where all of them will be running a parallel government managing their own territory. So India is trying to reach out to these two also. बातचीत back channel चल ही रही है. Official risk क्या है कि if you engage with them, you will antagonize the Tatmadaw, which still controls most of the Myanmar. So the way Chinese deal with them, Chinese leverage one over the other. Same thing India needs to do. Nothing, no harm in learning from Chinese. If your rival is doing the right thing, why not learn from him? So now of late what has happened, India is showing signs that we will reach out to these players also, because Myanmar matters. Myanmar shares border with 4 northeast states. Can you name them? Arunachal, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram. Except Arunachal, the 3 states that I named, Mizoram, Manipur and Nagaland, have had varying degrees of insurgency. पता है ना ये सब तो? NSCN के बारे में जानते हो? पीपल लिबरेशन आर्मी बैठी थी, वो एक ग्रुप है मणिपुर में. मिजोरम का अपना, you know these things. So irrespective of who is in government, India needs to engage with them. And if it is becoming a loose federation, before it begins, reach out to all the active players involved. 1, 2, 3 and 4. ये तो जेल में है, तो when she comes, of course, we will reach out to Aung San Suu Kyi also. No idealism, more of realism here. The way China is doing it. Got it? Myanmar situation you understood, where the conflict is, and know the names. These names you need to know. Now after this, let us see. Yes, what is happening here? Why are these 2 countries fighting? इनको क्या problem हो गई? Thailand and Cambodia. Which area are we talking about? Which one? Yes, you are right. तो वहाँ पर क्या है? You have certain facility over there. It's actually a more than a century-old dispute. Dispute between these 2 countries is more than a more than this one, the Priya Vihar temple. And not only the temple, the entire vicinity of this temple. So it goes back to more than 100 years. Okay, borders of these both countries. One line, few lines you write it. We'll quickly finish it off. Borders of both countries. We are talking about Thailand-Cambodia conflict, which happened in December 2025. Rockets, missiles were fired. Then some peace talks happened. Then again it started. And may start again. ये दोबारा हो सकता है. It's not settled. 100 साल से ज़्यादा पुरानी ये conflict है. See, Britishers left their colonies in a very haphazard way. कौन बनाता है chicken egg type का? See, 27-kilometer long stretch connecting one part of your country to the remaining part. This is not how borders are demarcated. Redcliffe, सुने होगे? When he came here, Mountbatten asked him that you must be aware of the geography and the topography of this region because you are the one who are going to draw the borders. He said, sir, this is my first tour to India. Mountbatten said, welcome. Let us do it the way we wish. So that's what I'm telling you, that colonizers left their colonies in a very not so good shape. Unsettled boundary disputes bound to trigger conflicts. Now that does not justify that even after 100 years these countries will keep on fighting. A civil dialogue can sort these problems. But then it has not happened, sadly. Now quickly write this. What you have written? Borders of both countries were drawn after. Borders of both countries were drawn after the French occupation ended in Cambodia. Ended in Cambodia. In 2008, Cambodia tried to register. Cambodia tried to register. So this is where the dispute is. An 11th century temple. 11th century temple in the disputed area as UNESCO World Heritage. Okay. Now why Cambodia did this? Because in 1962, ICJ gave this territory to them. What is ICJ? You all know what is ICJ? International Court of Justice. So it ruled in favor of Cambodia. But it is not accepted by Thailand. So the moment 2008 they did that, there will be dispute in 2008 also. Now in 2025, last year what happened, quickly write this, 2025, both countries imposed border restrictions and banned imports. Which started the conflict. Now here comes my friend Donald. Okay. He will intervene. USA will intervene here, Donald Trump will come and Donald Trump will chart out what is called Kuala Lumpur Peace Accord. You heard what my friend Donald has said about MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, what Donald has said about him? I'm assuring you this will not go well with Saudis. He's the next king and he is the one who does everything. MBS matlab everything in Saudi. He is more important and more influential than any person in all Arab countries. Leave Saudi Arabia. He is very influential in UAE also. Okay, so the words that he has used will not go well with the Saudis. So we will see ruptures happening more. Okay, this is almost, बाद में बता देना, अभी सुन लो बाद में बता देना, क्लास में सब नहीं बोलते, नहीं तो मैं नहीं बोल देता. So, not the right thing to say, but Americans are known for these slangs and everything. Now, this will end the Carter Doctrine. याद है कि entire everything west of West Asia, Persian Gulf के इधर जो भी है, my spear, it will be ended. Already China has tried to end it and it succeeded. 2023, China pulls off, it brokers a deal between Saudi and Iran. Imagine, USA is trying so desperately for so many years to bring Saudi and Israel together. Abraham Accord पता है सबको? UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, Morocco normalized ties with Israel in the year 2020. Just a matter of time, Saudi Arabia would have joined that. So if Saudi joins Abraham Accord, Arabs, Israel are on the one side. Bach kaun gaya? Iran. This is what USA wanted, to bring two of its allies, Saudi and Israel together. It did not, it could not. China has brought an American ally, Saudi and an American enemy, Iran, almost together in 2023. So this marked the end of Carter Doctrine. US is trying to revive the Carter Doctrine. US बता रहा है कि I am still here, I am still floating around. But then if you use such words for your allies, this will not go well. US के या तो allies हैं या client states हैं. India is the only partner that US has, because they are not used to partners. Partnership का मतलब है give and take, बराबरी. US को इसकी आदत नहीं है. Okay, so it has not gone well with Saudis and they are now thinking ki whether we should join hands with Israel and US against Iran. So interesting times ahead. तो ये क्या बोला? Kuala Lumpur Peace Accord. Now what happened here? Write this. Both countries withdrew the heavy weaponry. Both countries withdrew the heavy weaponry and established interim observers. Established interim observers. But then how long will it continue? We don't know. Know the root of this problem, the geography of this region. Two maps are here, just see through it. You will know what is happening. Okay. Thailand, Cambodia we have done. Now the frozen conflict. Armenia, Azerbaijan. Why these countries are fighting? इनको क्या दिक्कत हो गई है? Which issue? As in? यही तो रीजन है. Nagorno-Karabakh, right? So what is the issue here? First of all, इनके dispute का क्या reason है? So both of them trace the dispute to the Soviet days. Okay, see, whenever a big territory falls, इस तरह का जब disintegration होता है, small independent states emerge. See, Crimea problem rooted in Soviet era, right? वो भी वहीं से आ रहा है. Crimea, that's why Ukraine has happened. Okay, so all these things can be traced back. Now what happened there, इसको अभी कहते हैं frozen conflict. What is frozen conflict? Why it is called frozen conflict? Because no side can win. It's a deadlock. Stalemate हो चुका है यहाँ पर. Progress नहीं हो पा रही है. Although the now temporarily peace has been established, but again I am telling you, it can again blow up. Okay, so the place that we are talking about, Nagorno-Karabakh, that territory. Quickly write this. This region, 2-3 lines you write. Will ethnically यहाँ के जो लोग हैं, Armenians. Ethnic Armenian. And this is situated where? In Azerbaijan. Ethnically Armenian, majority here, but situated in Azerbaijan. And it is connected to Armenia through Lachin corridor. Remember this place, 5-kilometer long stretch, connected to Armenia through Lachin corridor. So both sides try to assert their influence here. इसलिए लड़ाई होती है. बाकी हिस्ट्री में नहीं जाएंगे. Yes, सोवियत relic है, but ethnic Armenian majority. Armenians are mostly Christians. People in Azerbaijan are Shia Muslims. And you know which country has helped Armenia in the conflict? Armenia, I said. India. India gave them Pinaka. Pinaka पता है ना? इस बार ब्रह्मोस देंगे. Already Philippines is saying BrahMos is so good. By the way, have you seen that Indo-BrahMos architecture in Muridke? अरे लश्कर के हेडक्वार्टर पे बनाया था ना Indo-BrahMos architecture. Come on, see that image. And Azerbaijan is held by Israel. Yes, you heard it right. The country which is helping Azerbaijan is Israel. The country which is supplying weapons to Armenia is India. Palmerston was right. There are no countries don't have permanent friends and enemies, only permanent interest. Remember this quote. Entire geopolitics revolves around this. कोई दोस्त दुश्मन नहीं है. Nations do not have permanent friends and enemies, only permanent interest. Now see the next one. Sudan we have seen. Here these two gentlemen which I was talking about. Hamdan Dagalo, RSF chief, and this is Abdel Fattah, the military person. Now they brought down a government, now they are at war with each other. This is the region. Now what has happened to this wonderful, beautiful place? Why Donald is having its eagle eye on this place? Resource rich as in, क्या resource है इनके पास? बर्फ तो है. See, first of all, Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark. Okay, Greenland क्या है? It's an autonomous territory of Denmark. Now, interestingly, we will finish all the things in 10-15 minutes. ठीक है? कोई दिक्कत नहीं? बैठ सकते हो? हाँ, अब तो आदत हो गई होगी. You are preparing, right, for some time. So, both Denmark and USA are members of NATO. Article 5 of NATO says that an attack on one is an attack on all. This is NATO Article 5. So if USA attacks Denmark or invades Greenland, legally speaking, the country can invoke Article 5, which means other NATO countries should defend Denmark, Greenland against USA. NATO was formed in 1949 by USA. So how it will work? Okay, so you see the dilemmas that the members will be having here, because Denmark is also a NATO member. और अब तो वार्सो पैक्ट भी नहीं है कि उसको ज्वाइन कर ले. There is no Soviet, right? तो why this thing is happening? इसके reason समझो. US has some trade advantages. Why US is trying to, ये जो देख रहे हैं ना Davis Strait and all. See, first of all, location. Almost in the middle of two great powers. तीन ही great power हैं दुनिया में. USA, China and Russia. What makes a power great power? Economy, तो फिर तो जापान भी हो जाए. You need to have economy, no doubt about that. पैसा नहीं होगा तो क्या बात का great power. Second, you need is population, because that population will translate into military. So all these three countries have sizable economy and sizable population. Okay, तो यही तीन great power है, और इसमें greatest power है USA, China is second, weakest of the great power is Russia. Okay, तो दोनों से almost ये बीच में है Greenland. Now if a Russian missile targets USA, अगर ऐसा होता है, so if Greenland is controlled by USA, they will know in advance through their radars here. See the geography. 9 to 10 minutes in advance, Americans will know that the Russian missile has been. Now 9 to 10 minutes will make a lot of difference when war is going on, when you have such information. So one reason why USA wants to control is the geography of Greenland. Quickly write this. Greenland is almost a geographic midpoint. Greenland is almost a geographic midpoint, within bracket, 3,000 kilometers, 3,000 kilometers from New York and 4,500 kilometers from Moscow. ठीक है? So whoever controls Greenland will control mostly the Western Hemisphere, any great power. Second thing, right? US gets trade advantage. US gets trade advantage. How? The two important choke points. The two important choke points, Panama Canal and Suez Canal. Panama Canal connects Atlantic and Pacific. Panama Canal connects the Atlantic and Pacific, reducing the distance between US East Coast and West Coast, distance between US East Coast and West Coast by 8,000 nautical miles. Now remember the name of these two water bodies, Baffin Bay and Davis Strait. Okay, they are the one which surrounds the Greenland. Here है location दोनों. Okay, Baffin Bay and Davis Strait. Third point, last one you write, the Baffin Bay and the Davis Strait. Next to Greenland, water bodies next to Greenland. US wants to control them. US wants to control them which is seen as, both of them are seen as, US wants to control them, both of them are seen as a toll booth for the future of global trade. For the future of global trade. So now, see, अभी हमने देखे हैं ट्रेडिशनल ट्रेड रूट्स, द इमेजेस दैट वी हैव सीन हियर. कौन कौन से हैं बताओ जल्दी. सुएज कैनाल, बैबल मंडेब, पनामा, ठीक है, हॉर्मूज, मलक्का. नाउ यू सी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स एंड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स आर कमिंग अप, एंड दिस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स आर शोइंग नो साइंस ऑफ अबेटिंग इन नियर फ्यूचर. So countries, especially great powers, are desperately working on alternate routes. Tell me some alternate routes. INSTC तो चलो बन जाए तो INSTC and IMEC both projects of late has been installed. There is this Chennai Vladivostok maritime corridor. Northern Sea route, north of Russia. Now once you connect CVMC to Northern Sea route, you can revolve around the world. Okay, पूरी दुनिया घूम लोगे in less time. Now if this Northern Sea route becomes functional, अच्छा poles में सबसे prominent कौन है? Which country? Russia. Russia is the only country in the world which has a nuclear powered icebreaker fleet. Lenin नाम है उसका. Nuclear powered icebreaker fleet. The ships, the vessels can break the ice and sail through the oceans. Even USA does not have it. So USA wants to control Russia in the poles. They cooperate in Arctic and Antarctica. They cooperate in space. They cooperate in exchange of uranium and other fissile material. USA and Russia do cooperate. Both are member of Troika. Troika क्या है? Group of 3 countries: USA, Russia, China, to discuss Afghanistan. You add Pakistan, it becomes Troika plus. So lot of cooperation happens between great powers, but the rivalry remains intact. So USA fears that if Russia becomes the way it is projecting itself as the major polar power, my dominance will reduce. So I want access to these 2 states. इसलिए हमने लिखा it can become the future toll booth in the coming days. देखो ice is melting, right? Climate change तो हो रहा है ना? So melting ice is because of this 77% more cargo traffic has been witnessed in NSR, Northern Sea route. पिछले 4 साल का फिगर बता रहा हूँ. 77% traffic has increased. Plus conflicts नहीं है वहाँ पे. कौन वहाँ conflict करे? बर्फ है. Pirates are not there. बर्फ में जम जाएंगे वो अगर गए. So this route is less explored and more viable. That's why Americans don't want a Russian dominance. They see Greenland, Donald Trump बोलता जो भी है, this is what the US has always said, done. He is more vocal and he goes for a lot of blah blah. That's the difference. Otherwise, he is pursuing the same old age American policy. He's over the top, और कुछ नहीं. So there is American strategic interest involved in these water bodies. Are we understanding it? And one more reason you write, according to US Energy Information Administration, according to US Energy Information Administration, Arctic has 13%. 13% of world's undiscovered oil resources. Undiscovered oil resources. 30% of world's undiscovered natural gas and ample minerals including rare earth. ब्रैकेट में लिख लो, रेयर अर्थ टॉप रिजर्व किसके पास है? टॉप रिजर्व इज विथ चाइना, उसके बाद ब्राजील, फिर इंडिया. Okay. Now rare earth you know is required when manufacturing of semiconductor. Any electronic device is bound to have semiconductor. It's a $500 billion plus industry. इंडिया ने 2024 में सिंगापुर के साथ एक डील की है मोस्टली फॉर सेमीकंडक्टर्स, राइट. सो if manufacturing is to be the main economic driver of your main key driver of your economy, you require rare earth. Japan requires it, USA requires it, India. Now China sits on the largest reserve. China has no environmentalism. मतलब समझ रहे हो, वहाँ PIL डाल के रुकवा नहीं सकते हो खोदना. You cannot put a PIL and invoke specially petition and approach the Supreme Court of China and stop the mining. No. Chinese government जो बोलेगी वही होगा. There is no free and independent judiciary. So on top of it, it will keep doing the way things it wishes. You cannot use the state apparatus of China against China. ये केवल democracies में हो सकता है. Because democracies have fault lines. The rivals, the enemies know how to use these fault lines. चाइना की इंडिया डेस्क जो है ना एम्बेसी की बहुत बिजी रहती है. दे स्टडी एंड रीड अ लॉट अबाउट अस. दे नो आवर लॉज, आवर सोसाइटी मे बी बेटर देन अस. तभी तो उसको वेपनाइज करेंगे. ओके, सो चाइना विल हैव एनी डे एडवांटेज इन रेयर अर्थ. सी द फिगर हियर. सेकंड पे ब्राजील है, थर्ड पर इंडिया आता है. नाउ ग्रीनलैंड गिव्स देम एन ऑल्टरनेटिव. सो अदर देन the bluster which Donald Trump carries, it is a very thought through process. He is not doing things just for the sake of it. He speaks. Leaders जो बोलते हैं वो मत सुनो, countries जो करती हैं उसको समझो, then you will understand IR. Don't go by what statements one makes. Go by the deals that they ink, the official documents that are released by their think tanks and the State Department. Now quickly let us see what else is remaining. I think China is remaining. China, Taiwan. So what is the issue between these two countries? Can we call it country, Taiwan? Listen quickly. Opium War, 1839. Britishers used to, so अभी वाला China नहीं था. China was very, it used to cut a very sorry figure in 19th century. Japanese ने इनको बहुत मारा है, Manchuria and all, brutal atrocities Japanese have inflicted on them. So Britishers used to sell illegal opium in China. Chinese youth were addicted to it. So Chinese Navy officers will seize a British ship. Britain will declare war on China and will conquer some of its territories. Then France comes. France says 2 of my people have been killed in your country. France will attack China, Britain will join France again. Now Britain will increase its territory in China, France will also have some territories. Then Japan will come, then USA will come. So India was a British colony, China was an international colony. इसको कहते हैं cutting off Chinese melon, where the major imperial powers divided China into their respective sphere of influence. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Cutting off Chinese melon. Right? Second World War will accelerate the decolonization process. You all know that. यही main reason है ना कि luxury हो गई. For imperial countries, maintaining colony became a luxury. They had to recede. The situation was so bad in these imperial countries after Second World War. World order changed, 2 new superpowers emerged. Britain and France are no longer calling the shots, the US and the Soviets are. So of all the people, countries, imperial countries which remained, only USA was there. Every other country चले गए वहाँ से, they left China. USA had a puppet, Chiang Kai-shek. Chiang Kai-shek was US backed, you can say, a ruler. He was not a monarch. And his party was there, Kuomintang, nationalist. Now he faced confrontation from communist Mao Zedong. Mao raised the Red Army, the People Liberation Army, जिसको आज बोलते हैं, Chinese military. So एक तरफ communist, एक तरफ Kuomintang. Communist will defeat the Kuomintang, and Chiang Kai-shek will escape to Taiwan. Okay, Chiang Kai-shek यहाँ भाग जाएगा. US will say, this is China, I don't recognize Mao's China. Because of this American policy, China will not get UN membership as late 70s. Okay. वो क्या कह रहे हैं कि चाइना क्या है? ताइवान इज चाइना. माओ चाइना इज नो चाइना. हिस्ट्री समझ में आई? नाउ चाइना सेज वी हैव फेस्ड अ सेंचुरी ऑफ ह्यूमिलिएशन ever since the start of Opium War 1839 unless 1949. Mao's China is 1949. जब Kuomintang को हरा के Mao Zedong will become the president and the lifelong chairman of Communist Party. The second person is Xi Jinping, lifelong chairman of Communist Party of China. So China says कि हमारा क्या हुआ है? Century of humiliation. You guys have beaten us black and blue. They are right. You have insulted us. You have done that. And this century of humiliation will not end until I take this back. This is their official policy. President Biden asked President Xi Jinping that you want to take it. He said, of course I want to. He said, when? He said, why should I tell you? करेंगे तब पता चल जाएगा. So why should I inform you in advance? तो next जो war trigger होगी वो इधर होने वाली है और जापान के साथ होने वाली है. See, likes of Jeffrey Sachs, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, Professor John Moshimer, okay, हमारे यहाँ भी Professor Harsh V. Pant, these people have talked about these things maybe 6-7 years before. Moshimer ने तो 10 साल पहले बोला था. He identified 3 zones. Europe, he said Eastern Europe. हो गई ना लड़ाई? Russia, Ukraine. Then he said West Asia. Third thing he says is South China Sea and East China. 2 out of these 3 zones are already conflict zone. The next flashpoint is here. Now this is the Taiwan Strait Median, जिसको boundary मानो. China has diplomatically isolated Taiwan. You cannot have embassies in Taiwan. If India opens an embassy, China will close Indian embassy and will call back the ambassador from New Delhi. So either you can have ties with Taiwan or with China. इंडिया के किसी स्टेट के साथ किसी कंट्री का डिप्लोमेटिक टाइज हो सकता है? Can a country say that we will have ties with Uttar Pradesh? No, you have ties with New Delhi. Foreign policy concurrent list में भी नहीं है. You all know that. Okay. So same way China says you can have ties with me, not with Taiwan. So diplomatically isolated. India uses what is called track 1.5 and track 2. These are tracks of diplomacy. Track 2 मतलब non-official. Track 1.5 मतलब government के भी कुछ लोग होंगे और private members भी होंगे. Track 1 is government. Track 1 cannot be used with Taiwan. Now this median line, state median, ये of late China frequently इसको cross करता है. 30 plus warships, 60 plus aircraft. 2021 they did that. Taiwan में हड़कंप मच गया. They are coming for us. China यहाँ तक आया वापस चला गया. So they are now increasingly doing these things, threatening Taiwan that I'll take you now. You belong to me. तू हाँ कर या ना कर. तू है मेरा Taiwan. So this is the Chinese policy that until we take over this, our century of humiliation will not end. Now what can Taiwan do here? Can it fight China? By no means. तो ताइवान के पास एक ही स्ट्रेटेजी बचती है, porcupine strategy. Porcupine देखे हो? What is porcupine? हिंदी में उसको साही बोलते हैं ना. It has spikes all over its body. Now can a tiger kill a porcupine? मार तो देगा ही, क्यों नहीं मारेगा? Tiger can any day kill a porcupine, but in the process, tiger will be grievously injured. He will have spikes over all his body, and tiger cannot take out the spike. Now you and me cannot volunteer to take out the spike for a tiger. हम लोग तो ये रिस्क नहीं लेंगे. So in the process, tiger will get grievously injured. This is the strategy that Taiwan has to adopt. That it may be destroyed, it will not be defeated. कैसे? तो इसके 3 stages बताए गए हैं. Okay, क्या बताया है? पहला stage है कि there will be, first you need to have the intelligence so that you can build up your defense. If they are crossing this state median, why are you unaware of it? So first thing is proactive intelligence. Second thing, guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare, you know, shoot and scoot. So guerrilla warfare in the waters with the help of American aircrafts. सो यूएस के बिना नहीं होने वाला है ये भी. First is intelligence in advance, proactive intelligence. Second, guerrilla warfare at the waters with help from American aircraft. Now we need a confirmation whether US is engaged. US आएगा कि नहीं इनको बचाने? क्या लगता है? Great powers do not fight directly. So very less probability of US coming to rescue Taiwan. Third thing, the landscape, the urbanized and mountainous topography of Taiwan will act as a natural speed breaker. It will not be easy for China to smoothly annex Taiwan. ये तीन चीजें हैं. Just remember porcupine strategy किस context में use की जाती है? Taiwan's response to China's belligerent moves. Okay. China क्या कहता है? Century of humiliation. It's not going to end until we take it over. Got it? Only this much you need to know. Coming to it, here. China and Japan are more like India and Pakistan. No love lost. So there are certain islands, this one, Senkaku. Japan calls it Senkaku, China calls it Diaoyu. Disputed. So see, I told you, China and Japan don't like each other. Japan ने उनको बहुत मारा है, मतलब brutal things they have done. Japanese used to conduct experiments on prisoners of war. हिटलर से कम नहीं थे ये लोग. जनरल टूजो के बारे में नहीं पढ़े हो ना? So Japanese used to operate prisoners of war without giving them anesthesia. Live. Chinese के साथ करते थे ये लोग. So China, although they have good trade, but they don't like each other at all. So कुछ disputes हैं. Now Japan has its dispute with Russia also. Kuril Island. यहाँ पे कौन सा है? Senkaku Island. वहाँ पर Kuril Island है, Southern Kuril Island. And history is there. Now Japan is American ally. Japanese constitution को कहते हैं मैकार्थर constitution. मैकार्थर कौन था? मैकार्थर was the one who started turning the tide of Second World War in favor of US. Island hopping, Pacific Island, मैकार्थर ने जितवाए थे. But after Hiroshima, Nagasaki, MacArthur stayed there and helped Japan. So US and Japan became buddies. Okay, best friends, besties बन गए ये लोग. Now you cannot have good ties with Japan unless you have good ties with US. ऐसा कहा जाता है. Of late, you know what Donald Trump said to the Japanese PM. सबने देखा ना? No, I'm not talking about that. Did you inform us? Pearl Harbor वाली बात पता है ना? Next thing he forgot her name and says, where is the Pearl Harbor lady? क्या तरीका है? So you see, US retreat कर रहा है. US अपने allies को ही offend कर रहा है. Arab allies को कर रहा है, Japan को कर रहा है, South Korea. Okay. So this is disputed. Now China and Russia say that our alliance is without any limit. Russia has attacked Ukraine. Russia has its issue with Japan. China wants to annex Taiwan. China has its issue with Japan. Japan is the only major country which has a self-defense force. इनका defense budget minimum रहा था. Now they are increasing it. China is saying you are not doing the right thing. This will cause instability in the region. Why are you doing this? Japan says because of you. Japan wants counter-strike weapons. Japan requires ICBM. India can help them. BrahMos वगैरह भेजेंगे. Okay. So Japan faces threat from both China and Russia. Okay. And now here they have increased their defense budget. See this. ये location बस जान लेना कहाँ पर है ये. This is where? This is in East China Sea. This is East China Sea where the next trigger of conflict may happen. जैसा कहा जा रहा है. Okay. Now one more conflict prone zone. Kaliningrad. यहाँ पर लड़ाई होने वाली है. क्यों होने वाली है? Because this country, see, all of you can see it. हो सकता है तुम्हारे प्रीलिम्स के पहले कुछ हो जाए. So know the geography. Geography का मतलब क्या है? water bodies. Baltic Sea is already which sea? NATO Sea. वहाँ भी हमने इसको देखा था. I told you, I'll explain it at the end. Then which all countries are there? Kaliningrad is Russian territory. But is it having direct land access? नहीं है. Lithuania is a NATO member. What Lithuania did, what it did was, it has stopped the Russian this flyers, the airlines. Those airlines which are blacklisted by US cannot fly over Lithuania and reach Kaliningrad. 2 साल पहले किया ये. Are we understanding it? Because of Russia-Ukraine war, US has blacklisted, SWIFT से निकाल दिया. ये सब तो पता होगा ना, payment system and all. So they have blacklisted certain Russian airlines. So those airlines cannot, Lithuania उसको airspace नहीं देता है. It cannot come here. Which means this part of Russia is isolated from the mainland of Russia. देखो छोटा सा तो area है, right? Only small. So only viable option is through international water. Which water body is here? NATO Sea. Russia does not, now Russia, in order to assert its influence in Baltic Sea, needs to be more vigilant over here. Russia को यहाँ अपनी position strong करनी होगी if it does not want Baltic Sea to remain NATO Sea forever. But वो position कैसे strong करेगा if Lithuania is acting as a speed breaker? So Russia said Lithuania will pay for this. And it will be painful. ये Russian official statement है. Now we don't know what it means. इसका क्या मतलब है? Open to interpretation. 2 साल पुरानी बात है. But major offensive may happen this place. एक major offensive कहाँ देखा है? Potential zone. East China Sea. जापान के साथ. Island कौन सा है? सेनकाकू. ताइवान कहाँ पर है? साउथ चाइना सी. 2 मेजर. तीसरा मेजर यहाँ पर आएगा, कैलिनग्राड. Okay. Reasons we understand, because of this country, it's a NATO member, so Russia invading it. Again, Article 5, attack on one is attack on all. एक और conflict देखो यहाँ पे होगा. I hope I'm wrong, okay? I don't want to be correct. Moldova. What is happening here? इसको थोड़ा लिख लो. Last thing it is Moldova. You see this side, the border area जो है. So you see Ukraine is here. Okay, write this. Ukraine has stopped. Ukraine has stopped the transit of Russian gas. Ukraine has stopped the transit of Russian gas through its territory. Which resulted in an energy crisis. Energy crisis in Moldova, especially in its Transnistria region. Transnistria region. I'll show you where it is. Underline it. Transnistria. It is dependent on Russian gas. Okay. तो अभी इन्होंने अपनी एम्बेसी को यहाँ इंडिया में न्यू दिल्ली में इनॉग्रेट किया है. It's a small Eastern European country, mostly connected to and dependent on Russia. So this region, one line you add, यहीं पे लड़ाई होगी. Transnistria, Russian-backed region. This is a Russian-backed region in Moldova. इसको कहते हैं रेमनेंट ऑफ USSR. So here it is. Sorry. This region. This side is Transnistria. This one. North. This side. यहाँ से यहाँ तक है. इसके ऊपर Tiraspol के ऊपर तक. Right. So it depends on Russia, but then Ukraine has stopped the supplies. So next conflict can trigger here. Maybe Ukraine will open an offensive over here, so Russia has to be here. Okay, so Moldova और दो चाइना वाले हमने देखे हैं, और हाँ क्या बताया था इसके पहले, Kaliningrad, Baltic Sea, फिफ्थ रीजन इज Baltic Sea. तो 5 हमने आइडेंटिफाई किए हैं रीजन्स. वन इज हियर, राइट, Kaliningrad is there, East China Sea is there, South China Sea is there, Baltic Sea is there. और एक और बचता है, सुन लो, Arctic. Arctic if major offensive is launched against Greenland. So 6 regions are left जहां लठ बज सकते हैं, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में persist, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट थिएटर ऑफ वॉर में expand. So what you have to do for your exam is to know these places. Know these places का क्या मतलब है? Geography जाननी है, उसकी कुंडली जानो कि आसपास इनके क्या है. Which water body, okay, जैसे यहाँ देखेंगे which water body, which neighboring countries, यही जानना होता है, nothing more than that. Exact location कहाँ पर है, and the reason. Geography and the reason for कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और पोटेंशियल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. अभी तक हमने यही तो किया ना. हाँ, रीजन जानने में वी नीड टू नो अ बिट ऑफ हिस्ट्री ऑल्सो. सो सिंस दिस इज अ प्री क्लास, प्रीलिम्स वाली क्लास है, तो आई हैव नॉट इलेबोरेटेड अपॉन द हिस्ट्री. मेंस वाली क्लास में वो सब और देखते हैं, फाउंडेशन में वो सब और देखते हैं, बट फॉर योर प्रीलिम्स नथिंग मोर देन दिस इज रिक्वायर्ड. एनी अदर फ्यूचर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट जोन, प्लीज कीप एन आई. वी हैव ऑलरेडी फोरकास्टेड कहाँ पर क्या हो सकता है. Any question from your end? Yes. क्या क्या मोल्डोवा? हाँ नहीं है, यहाँ पर है बॉर्डर, ग्रीन वन. This part you are talking about. This is Black Sea. हाँ तो this is not joined. That's not joined. नो नो, मोल्डोवा मैंने क्या बोला, डिपेंड्स ऑन रशिया. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन रशिया. और ये जो पूरा रीजन है जहाँ पर लड़ाई, ट्रांसनिस्ट्रिया जो लिखा है, इसकी पॉपुलेशन है ऑलमोस्ट 5 लाख ऑफ दैट इंटायर रीजन. सो दीज 5 लाख पीपल, देखो सोवियत हैज़ इट्स ओन रिलिक्स. हमने क्या लिखा, रिलिक ऑफ सोवियत, रेमनेंट ऑफ सोवियत. जैसे डोनेस्टक एंड लुहांस्क. Donetsk, Luhansk has pro-Russia militias. That's why Ukraine goes for a crackdown. Ukraine denies them basic civic amenities. लड़ाई चलती रहती है वहाँ पर. Now, हमने ये तो नहीं डिस्कस किया था ना, ये पता होगा सबको, मिन्स्क अग्रीमेंट. मिन्स्क अग्रीमेंट मालूम है? मिन्स्क अग्रीमेंट रशिया एंड यूक्रेन, इनके बीच में 2 अग्रीमेंट हुए थे इन 2014 एंड 2015. For वही Donetsk and Luhansk, for entire region, precisely for these 2 places. क्या कहा गया? Just listen to it carefully. Minsk 1 and Minsk 2 almost same है. अग्रीमेंट किसके बीच में? बिटवीन रशिया एंड यूक्रेन. पता है साथ में कौन लोग थे? फ्रांस, मैक्रो वॉज देयर, प्रेसिडेंट इमैनुअल मैक्रो, एंड जर्मनी, चांसलर मर्केल वॉज देयर. एंजेला मर्केल याद है? 1.5 years before she said, very candidly, that Minsk agreement were a ploy to arm Ukraine. क्या कर लिया आम करके? शी इज सेइंग दिस, ये ऑफिशियल है कि दिस वाज अ प्लॉय, इट वाज अ टाइम बाइंग टैक्टिस विथ रशिया टू आर्म यूक्रेन. And you see the proceedings of this meeting, how foolishly Zelensky is smiling there, how cunningly he is smiling. Oh, we are doing, क्या हो गया गाइस, तुम्हारा 20% टेरिटरी यूक्रेन. मैंने क्या बोला, लेसन फॉर आईआर स्टूडेंट्स, हाउ नॉट टू बिहेव अमिड्स ग्रेट पावर रेवलरीज. बड़ों की बात में बच्चों को नहीं बोलना चाहिए, वेपनाइज नहीं होना चाहिए, बिकॉज ग्रेट पावर्स विल नॉट डायरेक्टली go at war. History learned this. You evident है history में. So Minsk agreement में क्या decide हुआ था कि heavy weaponry will be withdrawn from the border. European observers will be there on Russia-Ukraine border. Democratic decentralization will happen in Donetsk and Luhansk. जो हम लोग पढ़ते हैं ना 73rd and 74th amendment, जो हमारे देखो इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को और अप्रिशिएट करोगे यार जान के. सेम चीज इंडिया श्रीलंका को बोला है 7th अमेंडमेंट, 11th अमेंडमेंट सॉरी, राजीव जयवर्धने अकॉर्ड. ओके, क्या कि डेलीगेट द पावर्स, डिवॉल्व द पावर्स टू योर प्रोविंसेस इंक्लूडिंग द तमिल मेजोरिटी प्रोविंसेस. सेम थिंग इज सेड हियर, दैट गिव लोकल गवर्नेंस, पुलिस, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, एग्रीकल्चर, एजुकेशन, हेल्थ केयर टू द लोकल गवर्नमेंट इन डोनेस्टक एंड लुहांस्क. आज तक नहीं हुआ. सो यस, द फीलिंग ऑफ दिस इन फाइटिंग, जो इनको एंटी गवर्नमेंट स्टेट फीलिंग है इन डोनेस्टक लुहांस्क अगेंस्ट यूक्रेन, इज एट एन ऑल टाइम हाई. एनी वंडर्स रशिया वॉज एबल टू लिबरेट देम वेरी क्विकली? 1-2 महीने के अंदर कैसे लिबरेट कर लिया? बिकॉज लोकल इनपुट वहाँ पर सपोर्ट था इनका. क्यों था? बिकॉज दीज पीपल आर नॉट हैप्पी विद देयर गवर्नमेंट. समझ में आ रही है सारी कहानी? कहाँ पर है डोनेस्टक लुहांस्क? दैट वाज आवर फर्स्ट स्लाइड, फर्स्ट और सेकेंड स्लाइड वी हैव सीन इट. सो मोस्ट ऑफ द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट जोन्स वी हैव गॉन थ्रू, ऑलमोस्ट ऑल. अब और तो कहीं लड़ाई नहीं हो रही है ना? क्या हो रही है? नहीं, और कहाँ हो रही है? वेनेजुएला में लड़ाई क्या हुई? तो किडनैपिंग हुई. हाउ वाज दैट अ वॉर? नाउ वेनेजुएला से एक लास्ट लाइन लिख लो. यूएस एक्सिस ऑफ सोशलिज्म, यूएस इज टारगेटिंग axis of socialism. Now what is this axis of socialism? Involving Venezuela, Cuba and Nicaragua. रीजन्स पर सुन लो. वेनेजुएला, वाई मादुरो वॉज अटैक्ड. सो 4-5 रीजन्स है इसके. लेट अस क्विकली सी इट. सी, अकॉर्डिंग टू यूएस, Maduro, the president, was a source of problem in Western Hemisphere, which USA considers to be its sphere of influence. Hegemon हमेशा regional होता है because of oceans. No country can cross all the oceans and become a global hegemon. So USA is an essential hegemon in Western Hemisphere. China aspires to be one in its own region, where it sees India as a issue कि ये मेरे को नहीं बनने दे रहा है. ओके, सो माडुरो को ये क्या बोल रहे थे कि सोर्स ऑफ प्रॉब्लम, और 3 कंट्रीज वेनेजुएला, क्यूबा एंड निकारागुआ, अमेरिकन ऑफिशियल स्टेटमेंट्स आर कि दे आर एक्सिस ऑफ सोशलिज्म, इनको हमें हटाना है. वी नीड टू चेंज दिस. नाउ कोकीन ट्रैफिकिंग, yes, these regions are known for cocaine and LSD. Okay, तो state sponsored इनको help मिलता था. That was the second reason. Through Mexico, they can easily reach out to USA. These banned drugs. Cocaine trafficking is one major reason. Then oil. Prelims में question आया था वेनेजुएला पर, याद है? Deposit of Venezuela has the highest reserve of oil. But then why they are so poor? Lack of, the oil was here, The oil was here, they were drilling it and doling out. Drilling and doling. Doling समझते हो? Free. Everything free. Benefits of socialism. Hugo Chavez was there. ऐसे क्यूबा में थे ना कास्ट्रोज, ये सब रैंक सोशलिस्ट कम्युनिस्ट थे. Hugo Chavez used to lecture the world on benefits of socialism. TED talk नहीं थे, नहीं तो बहुत वायरल होता. As long as world was here, he was lecturing on benefits of socialism. The oil came here. Venezuela has no capacity to drill oil from decreased height. 2018-19, a survey was done that can rabbit meat solve the hunger crisis of Venezuela. I was like, countries which ask questions, why isn't everyone equal, end up asking these questions. Can the rabbit meat solve the hunger crisis of Venezuela? They don't have the know-how to drill oil from a decreased height. ईरान से इनको ऑयल आता है बिफोर द सैंक्शन. मिल्टन फ्रीडमैन का एक स्टेटमेंट है कि इफ यू गिव सहारा डेजर्ट टू सोशलिस्ट गवर्नमेंट, इन 5 years देयर विल बी शॉर्टेज ऑफ सैंड. ओके, तो अब यहां से ये नहीं कर सकते. अमेरिका थिंक्स दे कैन ड्रिल ऑयल फ्रॉम हियर. अमेरिका को लगता है कि वी हैव द टेक्नोलॉजी. नाउ वेनेजुएला हैज nationalized the oil, and many US equipment have also been seized. So Donald Trump said कि Venezuela has stolen our oil. He was referring to the seizing of equipment, American oil equipment, जो machinery थी, because they have nationalized the oil. So American equipments have been seized, which according to Donald Trump is stealing the American oil. तीसरा रीजन समझ में आया क्यों इस पे अटैक किया? Then vast gold resources other than oil. एक तो US thinks that we can drill it from this height, we have the technical know-how, plus उसकी जो viscosity है, whether it is commercial or not, Americans are trying to figure it. Then it has also potential gold. अच्छा खासा gold reserve है वेनेजुएला के पास, which America wants to control. Then Maduro's friendship. Trump was like कि they are developing what is called axis of unity. Venezuela was harnessing it. Venezuela was consolidating, building on it. कैसे? एक तो ये याद रखना, axis of socialism. ये आ रहे थे साथ में. Iran, Hezbollah and China. China still is the biggest buyer. Of oil from Venezuela. दो टर्म्स हमने यहाँ भी देखे, एक्सिस ऑफ सोशलिज्म एंड एक्सिस ऑफ यूनिटी. Yes, anything else? And Russia is also close. Socialist है तो अभी भी रशिया से इनकी दोस्ती है. Venezuela also done. And what a smooth operation it was. So you see, China has not deployed troops. Russia is challenging American authority more than China. China ने कहीं असद को बचाया. He was having very good ties with China. इनको बचाया, अयतुल्ला अली खोमेनी को बचाया, किसी को नहीं बचाया. China just wants economic benefits. It will not. वो troops कहाँ deploy करेंगे हम देख चुके हैं. We have seen those regions. So potential conflict zone, the current conflict zone, along with elaborate history we have discussed. For prelims, nothing more is required. And the geography, आस पास कौन सी water body है, कौन से वो region कहाँ पर है, where exactly that region is, which all water bodies, or if it's a landlocked place, or which are the major countries surrounding it. इतना ही करना है बस conflict zones के लिए. Any other question we have? I think that's it. Okay then, all the best.